Hi, I'm Sean Smith. I'm a principal at Intuitive, and this is my career path story. I actually knew I wanted to be an engineer from a really young age. I was really good at math and science and like building things. And so when I was about 11 years old, my dad suggested the idea of, and he asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I thought, and I didn't have a very good idea, so he suggested engineering. So I actually wrote away, pre-internet days, wrote away to the University of Waterloo, and they sent me a whole bunch of information on their engineering programs at about 11 years old, and I went through it and decided, yeah, this looks like it's kind of the thing for me. So I knew pretty early that that was where I was headed, and then just sort of built everything all through high school around the idea of going away to engineering school. Yeah. When Intuitive was starting up, and Barry, Dave, and Dave invited me to come in and chat with them about joining. It was a really interesting conversation, being, starting something, building something, being a significant owner in it was something that I always really aspired to. It was a tremendous opportunity. It was, I gotta admit, it was extremely scary to leave a comfy job. I was a principal at another firm, and to leave that and go to something that was brand new. To write a check to invest some money as seed capital to get things going, at a company that had only a few employees and only a couple projects. It was a pretty scary time. But after lots of conversations at home with my wife, we decided that it was what we wanted me to do. And so I went ahead and took the leap. Actually, Andy Bergman had had a few conversations with me. He's a mentor to many of us, and I went to him for some advice and thinking this through. And he just had a conversation with me about whether I believed in myself and what I could do to make something great at Intuitive, and also whether I believed in the people that I'd be joining, which would be Barry, Dave, and Brock eventually as well. So whether I believed in that and whether I thought I could be successful and whether I thought I could be successful for them, and it really kind of got me thinking in a slightly different way. Still very scary, but it was only scary until I did it. That was the most interesting thing. Once I made the decision that I was going to do it, and I decided to join, then it suddenly wasn't very scary anymore. It was just super exciting. It was a really good time. So the Intuitive mindset is really about being entrepreneurial, being open to new opportunities, and to really kind of putting yourself out there, supported by mentorship, supported by a firm that's got the right values. I think that my career has really been formed by that, and it actually sort of predates Intuitive to the early days of my career when I really came into it thinking that I really wanted to be a true engineer's engineer, being super technical, being very, very interested in the technical aspects, and really wanting to be that guru that anybody would come to with a really, really challenging technical problem. And I still like the technical side of engineering, don't get me wrong, but just early in my career, Andy Bergman came to me and said, what do you think your career is going to be like in 7 to 10 years? And I presented that to him, and he said, oh, that's really interesting, and lots of people love that path, and there's a ton of value in that for sure. But why don't we just sort of give you some exposure to other parts of the engineering business and see where it takes you. So he introduced me to the idea of running projects and leading people, a little bit of hiring, a little bit of what the business behind the business and business strategy and things like that. It just gave me an opportunity to kind of explore some different things, and that really did change my career path to be more interested in the people side and the leadership side, and I guess to some extent the management side of the business as well. So that idea of sort of opening my mind to things that I hadn't really thought of, giving me a chance to sort of explore them and finding something new that I was comfortable with, was sort of fit into the idea of being entrepreneurial and looking for new opportunities. I think there's a number of qualities for becoming a successful engineer. One of the things that comes to mind is this idea of risk-taking, thoughtful risk-taking, not reckless risk-taking. And that's both sort of in your job. I think you have to be open to the idea that just because something sounds a little risky doesn't mean you shouldn't be exploring it. And the job of an engineer is to keep working on the problem until it's not risky anymore, and then you've solved it. But being open to those risky ideas from the beginning and kind of thinking outside the box makes you a good engineer. I think on the career side, more the personal development side, the same idea about risk-taking is really important. The idea of starting Intuitive was, I talked about already, felt like a risky venture, but the ability to sort of be open to those risky ventures and think them through and go into them in a thoughtful way is a really important aspect. If we get too complacent or too conservative, then we stop sort of growing and offering new ideas. The other piece that I think is really important to becoming a successful engineer is actually emotional intelligence. I don't think that really is something that sort of would immediately come to mind in an engineering profession. A lot of people think, technical and numbers and sort of process, but it's a people business. We don't sell widgets. We don't sell anything other than time and people smarts. So, the ability to understand where others are coming from, the ability to connect with them, the ability to just really see the other person's side is really, really important for, we talk a lot about collaboration, and collaboration really comes from being able to work together, which means really understanding what the other person's perspective is. So I think emotional intelligence is a really important piece to being a good engineer, both from an internal perspective, understanding your colleagues and being able to work together, working with peers within the business, other engineers, architects, and also extremely important with clients when it comes to business development. I think emotional intelligence and really being able to see your clients' problems from their perspective, have a conversation with them and really listen to them and really understand where it is they're coming from can allow you to tailor how are you going to offer business solutions, or how are you going to be a good engineer for them, how are you going to actually solve the problems that they're really worried about is really important. And being able to articulate it back to them so that they know you understand them and they get some confidence that you're on the right track is really, really, really critical. The same themes always come up for me when we talk about career path at Intuitive, and it really is about allowing everybody to be the best person they can be at Intuitive. And so I think this idea of be your own leader is really an important piece, and I want to encourage everybody to just always be looking for how they can be better at their job, where they can add new value to Intuitive, where they can provide some feedback for what we can be doing better at the firm, and just looking for those opportunities to take on a leadership position, whether it's currently well defined, leading and running projects or business development, or whether it's something that we haven't even thought of right now, like fire engineering was a while ago or sustainability was last year, and just really look for those opportunities to take on a leadership role. And the mentorship piece is obviously always really huge to me. I know a lot of my opportunities have been created through the mentorship that I've received over my career so far. And I think we just owe it to ourselves to always be seeking mentorship from others, where we can learn and grow and develop better, but also never to forget that it's our job also to provide mentorship to people coming after us, and to make sure that we're always providing them some encouragement, some coaching, and some opportunities to sort of get out of their box, out of their shell, and try something different and become even better than they were yesterday. That is a great question. What do I hope for the future of Intuitive? I've thought about this a little bit before, actually. It's a bit morbid, but to think about the end of life, you're lying on your deathbed and you're thinking about what did I achieve in my life, and the idea that Intuitive is still a thriving and successful firm that's been built up since 2011. To something that's an ongoing legacy firm is really my hope for Intuitive, and that all the people that are here or will be here in the future find the same kind of culture that they can really connect with, the same kind of place to grow and develop a career, and that they just feel really good about being here.